Hey gang, in this special episode of Code Club, Alice and I are going to talk a little bit more about how to add costumes and backdrops to your program and how to interact with them through code. Open up another browser window so that you can follow along. Have fun? Let's start coding!
Alright, so today we are going to be working with costumes. So, your scratch cat that comes on the beginning of the screen when you first begin a project comes with two costumes, Costume 1 and Costume 2. Now, if you are creating your own costume or your own sprite, you can name these costumes. So I'll just do Cat 1. And so you can change the costumes very easily. There are two ways to do this. You can use the switch costume to costume 2, or you can use the next costume block. And that will switch your costume. If you have like 30 costumes, it will switch. If you're at 1, it will go to 2. And so on. So I'm going to show you an example with each of them. So switch with costume 2. Well, it's on costume 2 right now. So you hit the when green flag clicked, switch to costume 2. There you go. Now he's at costume 2. You can also, this is a more, like a little more advanced, but you can make it so when the green flag is clicked, it will switch to Cat 1 and then it will switch to costume 2, like so. And you can do this by putting the switch costume to Cat 1 and wait 1 second, and then it will switch to costume 2. Now I'm going to show you the example with next costume. Next costume will just switch it, like I said, to the next costume that is in your costume gallery right here. So I'm going to make one more costume for our cat, and I'm just gonna give him a quick hat. And I'll fill my hat in. Oops. There. A hat for Mr. Scratch Cat. Abraham Lincoln Cat. So, we can do another win, and he will switch to the next costume. But like I showed you earlier, he can change to the one costume at the beginning, and then if you hit the space key, they'll switch to the next costume. And so our cat can now be with 2 walk cycles and an Abraham Lincoln hat. Alright, so now we're going to be working with backdrops, and you can upload a backdrop from the backdrop gallery. You can create a backdrop, you can take a picture of yourself, or you can upload from your computer. And I'm going to show you an example backdrop with all 4 of these. I'm going to start with the gallery. So, wow, look at all of these backdrops that you can use. I think I'll start with one of my favorites, bedroom 1. So I click bedroom 1 and then I hit OK. So then it uploads into this box here, which is your stage. So you can have sprites walk along, and we're going to work on that later. But now, so this is your first backdrop. Here is the blank backdrop that you were given at the beginning. You can click the X to get rid of it, or if you want to, you can keep it. Like costumes, backdrops can be named. So I'll just name this bed. Simple, easy name. So you can, with these, you can draw on them just like you can with sprites. And I'll just add a little carpeting thing here just to show you. See? A little bit of shading. And so that is the uploading from a gallery. Now I'm going to paint a new backdrop. Now, most people, well not most people, but some people like to draw very advanced drawings, but I'm going to show you a very simple drawing. So in your tools, you have all of these to choose from. You have the line, you have the rectangle, you have your circle, you have your text, you have your fill with color, you have your erase, you have the select, and you have the remove background and select and duplicate. So I'm just gonna do a very quick one here. I'll just do a person. Okay, there we go. And so this is a drawn backdrop. So like costumes, you can switch backdrops with, just like costumes, the switch backdrop to backdrop, whatever it's called. And then there's also next backdrop, which I will use later. So now we are going to do the last one. We're not going to do uploading, but we are going to do this one. Allow. So yeah, a very bad picture of me. So this is the camera backdrop, and so if you don't have a camera on your computer, you will not be able to use this, but I do, so I can use this one. So now we're going to move on to switching. So we have our switch backdrop to backdrop 1. So like I did with the costumes, oops, wrong way, that, and then I'll do, since we have 3 backdrops, I will do, oh wait, no, the first backdrop is bed. I will switch this to bed. So I have all my backdrops here, and so I can choose whichever backdrop I want. So, bed. There we go. So now I can do, wait 1 second, switch backdrop to photo 1. Then I can do another, wait 1 second. Then I can do backdrop 1. Now let's watch what we did. Wow. So now we're going to switch to next backdrop. So I'm going to take out when space key pressed and put this guy away, and take out the next backdrop block. So I click this and then space, 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 space. So yeah, a very simple backdrop introduction.
So one thing that's important when you're working on a program is how you name things. And if you look here, Alice has this backdrop named bed, she has this one named backdrop 1, and this one named photo 1. And in a small program like this, that's not a big deal. You can tell what they are pretty easily. But if you start having a program where you have, a sprite with, 50 costumes, or 10 different backdrops on your canvas, you're going to want to have more descriptive names for what they are. So you can do things where you say, this is person instead of just backdrop 1. And you can say, well, this is a photo of Alice. Let's not call it photo 1. Let's call it Alice photo. And this makes it so that when you're writing your scripts, instead of saying switch backdrop to backdrop 1, which could be very confusing, you say switch backdrop to Alice photo, which is very descriptive of what it is. And this is true when you're doing backdrops it's true when you're doing sprites with costumes, like Cat 1A and Cat 1B are not really good names for these things either. It might be something better like, cat standing and cat walking would be better names for these. And then the other important part is when you're making variables, and this is where I want to really stress this. When you make a variable, if you remember in the last class, I did X and Y for the variable names. Well, those aren't very descriptive. So let's say I want to keep track of who has the high score in a game. A good name instead of X would be high score. So now, when you need to use this variable, instead of saying, what was X again? I don't remember. You can say, I need the high score, and you know right away when you're working with your variable, it's the high score variable is what you need.
Alright, that's it for the Costumes and Backdrops special edition of Code Club. I hope you enjoyed it. Now go do some coding on your own. Have fun, be creative, and I'll see you next week.